Welcome to Make a Difference with Phil Martelli. He is Phil Martelli. I am Jared Phillips, and we got to cut right to the chase. Phil, it was pretty much the best weekend of the year if you were a college basketball fan. You were going about 100 miles an hour all weekend.
With no brakes, no seatbelts. But it started last week, if you remember.
Oh, I remember.
Like Coaches versus Cancer Breakfast did a magnificent job of presenting our guest. Our plan all along was to interview all of the Big Five legends and Hall of Famers that were there and to ask them simply who's made a difference. And we got a little bit chopped up with location at the, what's the building called?
Xfinity
Mobile Arena. And I want to thank everybody. That Coaches versus Cancer breakfast raised $90,000. Again, it's not enough because we haven't crushed cancer. When they make the announcement that we crush cancer, then we can change it from fundraising to fundraising. Like our guest today, Raise Fund. It's unbelievable. So I just want to thank everybody. Keep a lookout. Next year's panelist, we've had a request from a leading government official, not in Washington, D.C., but a leading government official who's nuts about basketball. They've asked us if they can be a panelist. So the governor's office will be joining us next year. And then all throughout this weekend, and we're going to talk about it a little bit further about where I've been, here's what's knocked me out: the communication, meaningful communication, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of text wishing VCU good luck, congratulating them on winning the Atlantic 10. And then after that, unbelievable, really program changing in a way, victory over North Carolina. I could run through name after name after name after name, but to everybody out there, thank you. And it was a message to all of us that you can touch everyone, and you should touch everyone. For the smallest, whether it's consoling somebody, lifting them up, but the amount of text and also tremendous pride in Philip and Jimmy, not just because of their team's victory, but them taking the time to answer. We are going to go over, though, text etiquette. Text etiquette's a big deal. If you send a congratulatory note and someone responds, that's the end of the text. To then respond with, well, what are you up to? It clogs the work. You got to.
You're probably getting hundreds of texts, right?
Oh,
and that's
hundreds, hundreds, easy hundreds, closer to 350 than 150. Let it go. You've done it. You've lifted them up. And you're going to get an answer from a Martelli. We are going to answer everything that comes in. Philip has come up with a creative way. He answers between 1:30 and 3:30 in the morning. That way, you're not up to say, oh, that play. But seriously, you don't know what they mean. And if I rattled off names, including a number of Duke players, not current Duke players, but Duke players who thanked.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
And I thought, oh, that's really serious rivalry there.
I will say, I from years of doing it, I know full well it's the one text to Phil, one text to Jimmy. They get back to you when they get back to you. I'm like, they have so many things. You don't like. I can't believe Terrence Hill did not. Like, we all saw it. Like, we all get it.
It was really something. So thank you to everybody that reached out. It means a great deal. And when we get into where I've been, there are several moments that touch me that I want to bring forward. And I couldn't do any of them in a minute. But you still got a Martelli minute every day at what time?
6:30 a.m.
Instagram
at Phil_Martelli.
And Status Solutions, you've stayed by us, so thank you for all that you're doing to bring safety technology to our school children. You can disagree without being disagreeable by choosing your words wisely. Confidence grows through preparation. Decide every day to engage in making the lives of others just a little bit better. I have to hit that one again because when we get to our guest segment, this is what they live. Decide every day to engage in making the lives of others just a little bit better. Dream. I'll say it again. Dream. And I'm going to say it again. Dream. In life, you will fall, you will fail, but you never lose as long as you get up, dust off, and attack the next challenge the next day. We're all going to fall, we're all going to fail, but we cannot lose by staying down. Get up, dust off, and get on about the next day. Embrace the ordinary, for you know not when the extraordinary will present itself. The Martelli Minute. Every day.
Every morning, brought to you by Status Solutions. On Instagram, 6:30 a.m. at Phil_Martelli.
And I just, those Martelli minutes and then resonating with our guest. This guest segment is going to touch you. It's going to touch your heart. And hopefully it's going to motivate you, get you up and get into your communities. And maybe it's in this community. You measure your impact in life through opportunities presented to others. So your impact is measured on the opportunities you present to others. That could be it for our guest. But our guests today live extraordinary lives in their roles as parents, coaches, directors, community heroes, leaders, dreamers. Living lives built on lifting others. We are joined by two extraordinary dreamers and lifters. So please welcome Gary and Matt from the Berwyn-Paoli Little League Baseball Challenger Division. And Matt is with the Newtown Edgemont Senior Challenger Angels Baseball. And the Phillies are about to open, but I guarantee you, these guys do these services 365. Gary and Matt, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us on the show today, Phil and Jared.
And I almost left out. Can you imagine? I left out St. Monica CYO Senior Challenger Basketball. We got a lot to cover. We got a lot to cover.
Especially with March Madness.
And yeah, and come on now, let's call it the way it is. We have to get into some point. Bryce Harper will be an MVP candidate this year. Thus, the Phillies will win the World Series. If Bryce Harper is an MVP candidate, they're going to be a World Series team.
You're calling your shot now.
I'm calling it right now. Okay. Right now. So, Matt, let me start with you. The Angels, Newtown Edgemont. Can you give us the background? Where'd this come from?
Sure. So I'm one of four boys. My older brother, Jimmy, and my younger brother, Luke, have mild cases of microcephaly. Jimmy, being my older brother, he started playing baseball first. And my father coached, organized, started Challenger baseball at Newtown Edgemont Little League. So once I became old enough, I started helping the Challenger baseball for my older brother. It was ordinary. It was not a chore. It was not, hey, Matt, you got to come help. It's just what we did. And over time that evolved. Luke joined the team. I started playing my teams. My dad coached my teams as well. One interesting piece, Phil and Jared, is My father was on the 1967 Little League World Series team that went to Williamsport and lost to Japan. First year of international play. My father would always follow up with that. And they were third in the world. So we have a lot of history at Nell. Fast forward, Jimmy and Luke age out of Little League Challenger at 21, but they still want to play. And they can play. I mean, they can swing it, they can field, they can throw. And Jimmy just turned 40. So my dad got together with Coach Bill Cashadis and Coach Gary Brooks at Berwyn Paoli and just kind of tossed around this idea, right, Gary?
Yeah. That great idea to try to provide something for those players that had the skill and desire to play competitive baseball.
But what's neat is we wanted to raise the bar with this, or talking about it, and said, look, let's more challenger rules. They're old enough, and my dad's big thing was it's funny that they call it challenger baseball. My father says they want to be challenged. Let's push them. Let's push them to the limit. Let's play hardball, wood bat, 3 strikes, you're out. 3 outs, change size, and have an umpire. So I'll never forget. The one thing we weren't sure of was pitching, right? So we teamed up with Berwyn Paoli. We probably had enough to field a team that first year. Now we're at probably 30 players or so.
Yeah,
we're actually on a wait list. It's tough. But it's tough to get, so much. We want to include everybody, but there just has to be a limit so we don't, cut down on the experience, and we rotate people in and out. But anyway, we have that first pitch, and just so it's clear, in Challenger, everybody's safe. You go bat through the lineup, you go around. And my brother Luke's playing shortstop, and I'm pitching on the mound. The coach's pitch, and ground ball to Luke, picks it up at short, throws him out. And I glance at my father. He glances at me. It's like a moment of truth. And I forget who was running at the time, but he says, "I'm out." And I said, "Yep, you're out." And he goes, "I just go back to the dugout now?" And I said, "That's right. Get it next time." And dad comes walking by me. He whispers, "This might actually work." And it's been, gosh, Gary, help me out. How long has it been now?
Yeah, so we've been running that senior program over at in conjunction with Newtown Edgemont for about 13 years now. So we'll be into our 14th season. And what's been impressive from my standpoint is watching when you continue to raise the bar for these athletes and that they continue to respond. And that one of the things that you found with regular Challenger and with a lot of these players, you lost a lot of the older, more skilled players because the typical Challenger baseball, where everybody's safe at first base, everyone bats every inning, everyone scores every inning. That became something that.
Gary, can I just jump in?
Sure.
You're describing adult T-ball.
Yes, no doubt. And, what happens is your skilled players that really want to play competitive baseball quickly get bored and you lose interest, and they're on to something else if you don't provide those opportunities. So that's where we're blessed to have, that cooperation and
Wow.
working together with the Newtown Edgemont and Berwyn Paoli Little League programs. Because both of those programs, were started in 1991, I believe, which essentially was 2 years after Little League International started Challenger baseball. So for over 30 plus years, Newtown Edgemont and Berwyn Paoli have had thriving Challenger baseball programs. But what's next for those players that you want to keep raising the bar for and challenging?
Yes. So Jared is a young guy, so he knows that when he showed up to play, the fields were lined, the fields were raked, that there have been a group of parents looking up at the sky and saying, well, if that cloud moves a little bit, and even if it's raining now, we could still play the game. You're looking at 2 originals right here. I guarantee you they've lined every field. they've raked, they sold hot dogs, they've umpired, and they pitched. That's why I say community heroes right here, Gary and Matt. Are there any jobs that I've forgotten? Like at Newtown Edgemont, Matt, don't sit back now. Newtown Edgemont doesn't rake the field by hand. They have machines like you would see at Citizens Bank. Yes, Matt?
That's right. Yeah,
You
we
get
got
the field ready like-
we got all the tools there, Phil.
and they have
we need
crew,
them.
and a maintenance crew. So a lot of baseball. Gary,
Yes.
why baseball? Why baseball?
Yeah, it was simple for me. I'm my son was who's 28 right now, started playing challenge or regular baseball in one of the other leagues and got to the point through T-ball, ended up working his way to coach pitch. And by the time he got to coach pitch, I could, with the delays and disabilities that he had, I felt that the next step into kid pitch, where you've got players throwing over your head, behind your back, that was going to be a challenge because he was having a hard time hitting some of the meatballs that I was throwing over the plate. So long story short, Bill Kashadis, who Matt mentioned and who's been involved in the Challenger League at Berwyn-Paoli for ever since I've been around, introduced me over into the Berwyn-Paoli Challenger League. And that's where once you start participating as a coach in that league with those children and young adults, and you just see the joy that brings, and that just, you want to come back and continue to do that year in and year out and continue to make it better. And that's, so we already, when I joined, we had already, in 2011, we had our program in place since 1991. So we had a program that was well established. The Roggio family, which was the founded ours in 1991, had transitioned that over to various league presidents. And there was a gentleman that was running our program by the name of Vince McInerney, who had it for 15 years. So I inherited and became like a steward of this great Challenger program that we had going in Berwyn-Paoli, which was incredibly supported by the league. It's always been a priority for the Berwyn-Paoli Little League to really do Challenger baseball right and make sure that it's a great experience for all the players and their families.
Matt, baseball is in your family.
Oh yeah.
I love the idea, the legacy of your dad, what he's passed on to you. Could you expand on that a little bit?
Sure. My father was lead by example kind of guy, operated in the shadows, didn't want recognition, just made it clear that, it was just simply, this is what we do. He left a great legacy. But to your point earlier, Phil, the recognition is nice. But it's not why we do it.
Yes.
The recognition hopefully inspires others to do something similar. It doesn't have to be baseball. There's a lot that these young adults, older adults, kids are capable of if they have an outlet. And if we provide the outlet, I guarantee you there's families who are going to take advantage of it. Dad had a special relationship with his Challenger players. The way he could give them a hard time is in a way that only he could get away with. You know what I mean?
Oh, Matt, it's Stelco.
And they loved him for it, and it was because Dad always said, and I talked to, so my oldest is 9. And it's, do they have some physical or intellectual challenges? Yes, but they're really just like you and me. They get the same thrills out of playing this game that we do. I enjoy my time on a Challenger field sometimes more than my 9-year-old's field because there is no negativity. It is all positive. They don't comprehend negative. And if there's something negative, they avoid it, and they find the positive so quickly. And they're so happy for one another when their teammate does well. And there's certain things that some players do well, some that others are still working on, and they support each other. It's just the purest thing to be around. And Dad got cut short. It's going to be 4 years in May. He passed away from a unique brain tumor, but he was the epitome of health. He did CrossFit at our friend's gym in Edgemont, Paul Bunyan, probably 6 days a week with Jimmy and Luke. Another competitive atmosphere. A lot of our challenger guys have, taken advantage of some of the workouts. So it's really evolved to a year-round thing. It's funny, when Dad was in the hospital, it was around draft time, and our friend John Knoll, who's a coach, he's captain of the police in Newtown. His son was a senior at Malvern Prep, getting drafted. I'm sorry. Fast forward, he went to UVA. It was UVA draft, because I remember when he hit the home run the day Dad passed. But anyway, so they were doing a story. The Inquirer was doing a story on Chris and entering the draft, being a local player. And Chris, I don't know, said something like, "Well, it's Sunday. I got to get to. I'm in town, so I'm going to go to the Angels." And they said, "What's the Angels?" And then it was funny. Matt Breen, great guy at the Inquirer, kind of put it together. There's a bigger story here, And Chris was one of our buddies or helpers early on when we couldn't fill in like a catcher, for example. We weren't, we didn't have it. Now we have my brother Jimmy catches, and we have another guy, Kevin, who catches. But Chris is just, why don't I catch? All right, let's do that. And then it evolved. It's funny that you guys like Chris and his agent Alan Donato, another coach and big supporter. We lose Dad, and just other people start to enter your life. And Dad, we were at Penn, and it was approaching Angels, the first game, and he says, "You all set for the Angels?" And I said, "Yeah, Dad." He goes, "Do it right." Yep. And I said, I got you. Focus on yourself, please. We got this. And I think Dad inspired a lot of people. Reached out. There's stands now, and people ask me all the time, what do you need? What can we do? And I said, come see a game. The one thing we can, we have uniforms. We have an umpire. Victus Sports has been too good to us with uniforms and bats and gloves. But the one thing we can't control is butts in the seats, and they love that atmosphere of fans and people coming out to watch them. Through Allen, we have guys like Matt Strom on the Phillies would come out, and he and his family really supported us. Ryan O'Hearn, Pirates, Connor Norby, Marlins, Cam Devaney, who's playing over in Japan right now. And they all say the same thing, Phil, that when they see this, you look at them and they're like in awe by it. And they all say the same thing, how pure. This is the purest form of baseball I've ever seen. I just want to be around it. And Matt Strom says, "Matt, how do I be a part of this?" I said, "You're Matt Strom. You just show up." There's nothing. And he goes, "No, I want to be involved in this." It was really cool.
There was a word in there and I'm not going to pontificate, but this world and the age group that you're dealing with, but it goes to all of us. We could sure use heavy doses of happy. Enough with like what's wrong. Let's deal with what's right. And this is what's right. And this is happy, right? I guarantee you there's no throwing bats. There's no dropping, kicking a batting helmet, and man,
No, it's really special, and to see
Yeah,
it
well-
happening all over again, Phil.
uh,
It's there's no avoiding baseball in my family. You're right. I played at Cardinal O'Hara, played in college at Dickinson, and I've been on the board at Nell for Challenger ever since. But with my younger son, my 9-year-old, with his teammates, to see how my son interacts with the Challenger group and the Angels is really special because, yeah, I'll pick on Gary's son, Zach, for a minute, because I would line up the practices inside that Flanagan Center we were talking about. So I got my 9-year-olds, and then I got the Angels coming in right afterwards. And Zach will be like, "Yay, Jack," and they give a high five, and they chat for a second, and I see Jack go over to his friends, and who are kind of a little bit shy, and Jack, who's that? And Jack just goes, "Oh, that's my friend Zach. He plays on the Angels." And then his group is interested, and they want to be friends with these guys too. They're and it's a nice to see it come full circle, Phil, because it's always been ordinary to me. This has just been part of my life and what we do. So losing Dad, I made sure that we're not going anywhere. My goal is to make it as ordinary as possible for my kids to do the same someday.
Beautiful.
Gary,
Gary, your organization, Berwyn
Yes.
Paoli, I know you're not a one-man show.
yes.
So take us through your organization and give those volunteers, give those people that stand back to back with you on those cold, early April nights and probably into October. Tell us about those volunteers.
Yeah, so good point, Phil. I think what we've been lucky and very fortunate with at Brooks and Paoli is a organization that for years have supported the Challenger baseball program. You've got from the president all the way down, top down. You have the presidents, Jim Spinelli, who is the current president. But if you go back in the history that I've been there, John Morgan, Mike Nichols, Tom Toscani, our previous Kurt Masellick, our previous presidents. When we host Challenger Day, for instance, which we're going to be hosting this year, you have past presidents that haven't had anyone in the league for 20 years still coming back to support the Brooks Paoli Challenger program and Challenger Day. The other thing that I think is really impressive is you have folks, you mentioned about Newtown Edgemont and having a grooming machine to take care of the fields. You've got a gentleman by the name of Pete Greskoff down at Brooks Paoli. Kudos to him. He's out there on Saturday morning, Sunday morning, grooming the fields, getting everything ready for us to play, but for the other teams in the league to play. And then I think the other thing that we've found to be when you host a Challenger Day or just a regular Challenger game, one of the ways, and to Matt's point, getting the other coaches that are coaching the majors teams, the 12 and 13-year-olds, we try to have them serve as buddies for one of our Challenger games every year. So we try to get every team to do at least one game. And it's amazing to see with a little bit of teeing it up for them on how to. It's amazing to see how their players, the 12 and 13-year-olds interact, with the Challenger players that are playing that day, celebrating with them, giving them high fives, giving them encouragement. And that comes naturally if you tee it up properly.
Life lessons. God bless you. God bless you.
Yes.
So for each of you, there's been a moment in this journey where you've heard no, or you thought, I can't take another step. Tell us the story of the family, the kid, the moment that lifted you when you were down, when you were like, I don't know if we can go forward. Is there a moment? Is there a kid? Is there a family? Is there a sponsor that you said, you know what, I am moving forward because of?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that one. There's one that really comes to mind with our program. Someone that has been a challenger player that has been in our program for years, struggled to hit a baseball even off of a tee for a long time. And then what happened is over time, and you're working with the same player for 12, 13 years in the challenger program, to see that player be able to hit a pitch baseball, and the joy that they get out of that, and hitting line drives back up the middle. I actually even had a similar situation with my son, Zach. We started playing challenger baseball. In baseball, I'd be up throwing a bucket of 50 baseballs to him, pitching to him, and I was lucky to get 5 foul balls. I throw him now overhand, and he's hitting line drives right back up the middle at me, and that make you jump out of the way. So those types of moments, I think, where you see a player that has struggled finally make contact or finally make a great play in the field and make a catch, those are the things that keep you coming back day in and day out to the Challenger program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your moment?
I love the successes on the field, no doubt about it. I got players, Phil and Jared, who keep coming back, and every time I see them, oh, Renee, you're back again, and oh, Coach Matt, and I love them coming back. But it's the new players, and it's the new families. Every year, I'm reminded I'll get when NEL registration opens up, and I'll have a mother or father who might be dealing with, a child with a disability for the first time, and the way they write an email to me, and they try to describe that their son or daughter has autism, and they're trying to lay it all out, and how, maybe if it's not the right fit, we understand, or he's 6 and he still uses a walker, and the way they're advocating for their children, it's hard. It touches me, because little do they know, guess what? They made the team. Send them over. There's nothing we can't handle. There's nothing we haven't seen, and we will get them loving baseball. And that's what certainly is part of me coming back and just doing this year in and year out. There's keeping this outlet open to this community of players is really important to me, my family, to Gary, and everybody involved.
Matt, you had touched on it a little bit earlier, but I wanted to kind of reiterate, just for our viewers, for our listeners, these two programs, they're doing incredible work in these communities. How we know how a Matt Strom can help, but how can the average person who may not even have a child fit for the Challenger program, like how can people in this community just help continue to boost and support an incredible program like Challenger Baseball?
People ask us that a lot, and I have high school players, ex guys I played with, without children, who just see what we're doing and they want to know how they can help. I said, the guys, and they love just seeing a new face. You want to come out and jump on the field and show them a thing or two. We love that. They love that. And if it can, starting a program or we know it's hard. But just, come out on a Sunday. Like I said, they love fans. They love people in the seats cheering them on. We have the walk up music is funny. We have you'll love this. Tom McCarthy pre-recorded their name and entrance when they go through the lineup. So we play it, and
he's a Make a Difference guest.
Our very first guest.
He was our first guest.
He's fantastic. He was there when Victus presented our players. So Victus did a glove line. I actually brought it here for you. And all of our players got an Angels glove, and they were presented to them at the ballpark. And Tom was a big part of that. And I think he got with Alan and said, why don't I pre-record an entrance for these guys? And sometimes he'll use their nickname too, which is funny. Everybody laughs. The choice in music is hysterical. It is it's really special. And if I could just share one more thing with the Phillies, we went down to the ballpark for batting practice after Dad had passed, and Alan didn't have Matt yet, but he had Sunshine. I can only think of his nickname right now. He was on the Padres at the time, Anthony. Anyway, so we're standing there on the dirt behind home plate. He comes up, shaking hands with the boys, and Dad had just passed, and we didn't talk about that, but just spend a nice time with them. And then I saw him go back and talk to some of the players, and I think it must have traveled who Jimmy and Luke were and who I was, and with Alan and the story. And next thing you know, JT comes walking over, Real Muto, and hands Jimmy and Luke their batting gloves and shakes their hands and just shooting baseball with them. Next thing you know, Castellanos, boom, they're all just hanging out with the boys, talking baseball. And then out of the dugout comes running this, I don't know, younger intern, or he's wearing a blue Phillies golf shirt on, and he's looking around. He's got 2 bats in his hand, and he comes running over and he goes, "Are you Jimmy? And are you Luke?" And Luke say, "I'm Luke. This is Jimmy." And he goes, "Here, these are from Bryce." He said he's sorry he can't come up, but he handed them 2 game bats from Bryce Harper, signed to Jimmy, to Luke. Have a great season. I just thought that was so cool. It really, really, really special stuff.
They are, these are remarkable young people that represent our city, and they do a lot. Gary, I have to ask this question.
Sure.
Because there's a number of endeavors, maybe it's take people on field trips or movie nights or whatever. Could you speak to the power of sports and the power of teams in the whole society, the whole of society? People need to understand the power of sport and the power of teams, and no one better could describe it than you.
Yeah, well, Phil, to your point, the power of the team. I'm the son of a coach as well. My dad had me from an early age. He was a wrestling coach and a football coach. So I grew up in that environment of a coach's son, and played sports all the way through high school. Didn't play at college, but just being part of the team and allowing the ability for everything that sports offers has been a tremendous influence in my life. And I think if you look at the things that are provided, the competition, dealing with adversity, we talk to our players about next play, even at the challenger level, when they have a difficult time at bat, or if they make an error in the field, the competitiveness, sportsmanship, making sure that they're cheering for their teammates, congratulating other players on great plays. Those types of things and the power of that translates into off the field. And what our goal is, when you're having that environment on the field and the lessons you're teaching our baseball players, our challenger baseball players on the field, you want that to carry off and carry to outside the baseball field. So in their life, they're using those things on dealing with adversity when they have a situation where maybe things don't go right at work, or they're having a difficult family situation. You want to make sure, and those lessons and the power that sports brings, you don't get those opportunities if you're not on a team. and you're there in an environment. And I'd like to say I've got the best coaching job in the world, because you've got a bunch of families that are thrilled to have their kids out there participating, and being able to have their and young adults take away those lessons of dealing with adversity, and that makes a difference in their life every single day. And that's what you hope to get out of the power of sports and the challenger programs that we're running.
Yeah, Gary brought up, if I may, something we do talk about a lot with our players is Coach Joe or Dad used to talk about baseball being a game made up of a bunch of little games, right? If you win the little games, more likely than not, you're going to win the big game.
Yes.
So to Gary's point, when we huddle up at the end on Sundays, we talk about, hey, win those little games throughout the week. Win those little games every day. Make your bed, be kind, treat each other with, respect. You can do it, whatever it is. But that is ultimately how, through sport, we can enhance their everyday life, just not on Sunday.
We could go on and on and on and on and on. The difference that you're making, thank you on behalf of this entire area. And I know there are many that have followed your path, but you've blazed that path. So thank you. And we always end this segment with this, and I'll start, Matt, with you. Who's made a difference in your life, Matt?
I'm lucky to have a lot of people who made a big difference in my life, but I have to say my father. He was cut short, but he got a lot out of those 67 years and did so much in his time that whatever time I have, I'm going to use it the way he did. In every aspect, coach, challenger, being an attorney, being a dad, no doubt about it.
Gary, same question.
Yeah, similar answer, actually. As I said, I was the father of a coach. My dad had his time cut short as well. He passed away at the age of 72. But one of the things that was incredibly inspiring to me was standing in line at his wake and having wrestlers that wrestled for him 30, 40 years ago come up and say, hey, your dad made such a difference in my life and what I'm doing. And these are attorneys, these are doctors, these are folks that, 30, 40 years removed from that experience of being a high school wrestler for my father. And what that did for me in 2008, it really enhanced my focus to be able to give back and continue to be more active in the challenger programs and get involved in the basketball program that I run over at St. Monica's. It sort of really led me down that path and really crystallized that for me.
Well, we thank you. And Matt, we're even going to let pass right now. We're going to let pass the Dickinson. Dickinson has one of the most unique traditions in the history of education. Your freshman year, you walk in a building from front to back. The day you graduate, but you walk through the same building back to front. My son graduated from Dickinson. I never saw anything like it. I didn't know what was going on. And then he transferred there. But your first day, you walk in the building and go out the back to explore the campus. And your last day, you come back I don't know the building. I don't know if it's used for anything else. But that's a true story. Yes, Matt?
That's correct. Old West is the building. Yep.
See? Just these things. Fellas, thank you. You know what? I think I wish for you not more success, but I just hope that you have great weather all spring. There's nothing that's more challenging than standing out there on some of these bitter, colder nights. But I wish for you guys great weather and continue to touch lives. It's remarkable.
Thank you for having us, guys. Enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, thank you for having us on.
Matt, Gary, thank you guys so much. Appreciate y'all.
That's right up there.
Terrific. I mean, absolutely. The work they're doing and
just making a difference.
The way they're spotlighting it.
And the fact that the kids and their families are making a difference for the volunteers, for the fans. Oh, that was a great pickup right there.
That was good stuff. I mean, and they do it all, right? The organizing.
I'm sure they do.
We talked about it. One big thing that is crucial is the coaching they do.
Right.
You know, might have to pull them in for a coach's corner. I don't know.
Right. Well, but the coach's corner, it doesn't apply to everybody, but I am saddened a little bit with timing. And I mean it this way. All of a sudden there's a coaching carousel and who's fired and who's not coming back. And I watched it last year, paid more attention last year to see if it would continue this year. And it did. Coaches in the tournament. I'm talking Division I coaches in the tournament. And their names are thrown around as candidates for another job. Some taking a job the day after your team lost in the NCAA tournament. It doesn't feel right to me. And I'm not pointing a finger, and I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm just saying there has to be something. No one can dedicate all of their time to their team in the NCAA tournament and trying to win a game, which is 10 times greater than even being selected for the tournament or winning your league championship, winning an NCAA game. But then to think that part of their time was involved with my next job. If we thought that of the players, and we do, oh my God, that kid's transferring a day after his team lost, so he wasn't both feet in. It bothered me last year, and it's added to my angst this year. And it's both sides. There are schools reaching out to people who are involved in the tournament. There are agents connected. It doesn't feel right. I'm not going to go so far as to say it's wrong, but it doesn't feel right. And at some point, the parents and the players and the loved ones of those that were quote unquote left behind had to say, did you give us all you had? Because we asked the players that. Just give us everything you have. Whatever the result is, the result is. But if we have coaches, and there are stories in my head, several years ago, there was a coach that didn't even go back to campus with his team after they lost in the NCAA tournament. He went to his next location, his next job. And that's always been my thing. For me, it was never a job. It was an opportunity. Yes, compensated, yes. But that opportunity to create memories for others was paramount. And in this environment, it's just not, I don't know what to do about it. I don't know how to bring it out. But we talk about a transfer portal in basketball. They have a date. Forget about it. The portal's always open. And when people turn around and say, but the coaches, I have to say, yes, you're right. The coaches are in a portal. And doesn't sit right. Doesn't sit right.
I think you bring up a good point, though, about how it is multifaceted, right? People see these players running and gunning for a new program when things, and coaches do the same. but the institutions still are.
No
They're the
question.
ones
No
banging
question.
down someone's
No question.
hot coaching candidate's door because, hey, we have an opening now, and you're doing great, and they know they like. Upward mobility is a major goal for everybody in this space and in any space, really, whether you're in business or whether you're in college basketball. Everybody wants to continue to find sustained success at the highest levels. That's just is what it is. You wouldn't be where you are if you wouldn't be a competitive enough person if that were not your goal. But would there be some kind of mutually assured grace period to like
Something.
work with your organization and say, hey, I got to talk to my players, I got to talk to my team. And I get it, you have your dream job knocking on your door the day after the one of the most difficult games you ever had to play or coach, and you're like, well, if I say no, or if I say give me a moment, they're going to move on. And it's like, can there be some kind of, I don't know if there's a coaching window that can happen, or
right, right. But if they want you, they'll wait. They'll wait if they really want you, or if they're just trying to check a box and say we got this done. And I think teams get impacted. There are teams over the last 2 years where I'll say they're not playing to their level. Could it be that there's a locker room issue? Well, could that locker room issue be, is this guy going to coach me next year? Or who am I going to go to if I want to transfer? Like, there's nobody there. The leadership vacuum. You make a really good point. It's not, and no one, the coach is not more culpable than the school searching. The school searching is no more culpable than the agents, and also the media. The media putting out, these are hot names, this person's being talked to. Some of that might not be true, but you've impacted the locker room by putting it out there. Doesn't feel right. Just doesn't feel right. And you know what? I'm going to go further. It's not right. It's not right. We need, as an industry, we need to do better.
I think that you say it from a media perspective. There's a couple of interesting cases. I saw a post where they had like a silhouette of a player, and it was like this like 3-level scoring guard averaging 18.4 points is like a hot level commodity on the transfer portal whose team like just lost. And you're like, okay, you put the silhouette in, but the kid's not in the transfer portal yet. We can do the math. We know exactly, like you can pretty much surmise who they're talking about. And it's like, you don't even know if this kid's entered the transfer portal yet. Like this is just complete speculation. And obviously with UNC job opening, Hubert Davis out, and there's people being like, well, here's every top coaching candidate's buyout number.
Right.
Like, you don't know if they have any interest in the job or if they've even been talked to.
Yeah.
And the players have to see, oh, wow, so-and-so, it's like all these coaches, like, oh, here's Dusty May's buyout. And it's like, well, he's at Michigan. They're still in the
trying
tournament.
to win a national championship.
The last thing he's thinking about is what his buyout number is for another program when he has every opportunity to go win a national championship this year. So it's and the players see something like that, and they're like, great, is coach, 1 foot out, that, like, it's just it's unfortunate, like you said, on all fronts.
But then we have the joy, and that's the whole where I've been. So everything from the Coaches versus Cancer breakfast out was Greenville, South Carolina, and it became a snapshot. I have to describe this snapshot, and I haven't even talked to Philip and Jimmy about this. We arrived about 11 o'clock on Tuesday night and walked into the hotel lobby, the team hotel lobby, and sitting there was Bam Tracy, who's a fifth-year college student, with Miss Sophia, the academic advisor for VCU. They were doing work Tuesday night, 11 o'clock. I was fascinated by that. Fast forward. Before their game on Thursday, the same thing happened. An hour before the team was leaving the hotel, I saw the two of them doing work. I had contact and conversation with Robin Harris, the commissioner of the Ivy League, and Bernadette McGlade, the commissioner of the Atlantic 10, and Brian Kersey, a leading official evaluator throughout the country, Bill Raftery, Gerald Henderson. Gerald Henderson's a proud graduate of VCU and a big follower of the program. Dr. Ray Washington. Dr. Ray Washington, the leading surgeon throughout North Carolina, played for us at St. Joseph's, came through the great Boo Williams program, board of directors or board of governors, whatever the term is, board of trustees at St. Joseph's University. Ray Washington, he was at the game. Michigan managers drove in from Charlotte, from Raleigh to be with us. Dave Duda. Dave Duda there, great high school player at Bishop Kenrick, all Catholic player. Terrific college player. Worked with me at St. Joseph's. Athletic director at Delaware Valley. And his son is on the staff at Penn. Dave drove in. That NCAA tournament experience, coaching and playing, is with those guys forever. And I hope that they all have their snapshots, right? Like I have my snapshots. And tough games. North Carolina, with all of that blue, VCU turning out strong, and just the ability to stay with the game and stay with the game and stay with the game, down 19. And I just kept thinking of markers. Be down 10 with 10 minutes left, be down 5 with 5 minutes left. And they raced through all that. And to win an overtime game was really special. VCU has had a lot of champions over their time, but this team's championship DNA will match up with anyone's. So I appreciate all of them for allowing Judy and I to go along for the ride. And as I started this podcast with thank you to all the people that reached out, every single person. And if we didn't respond, it was only a miss. It was not intentional. And we'll get to you and thank you, and makes you anxious for the next segment of March Madness. But you can't get there until you get through roster, retainment, acquisitions, building them up. That's one of the toughest parts. I've always said to you, the day after your last game, because you realize you're never going to be that way again. And now you have to start over. And sometimes you rush and say, well, we have to be the same as we were. No, you'll never be the same as you were. So take your time and relax and then make a plan. Like I make a plan on where will I go.
Before we get there, I have to say, where have you been? I think everybody knows where you've been, because I have to say, I notice it, obviously, because I'm watching the games and I see half of my extended family on television. But is the Martelli family like the most televised basketball family in college? I don't know if you know, because like I watch the games on TV, and I was the night of the game. I was at the bar I work at for a coworker of mine. We were celebrating his birthday, and I'm sitting there watching the game, and people are looking at me, and they're like, "Are you okay?" Like they're like, "How much money did you put on this game?" I said, $0. It's blood. And I'm like, "There's my uncle, there's my aunt, there's my cousin." Like there's, and they're like, "Are you kidding?" And I'm like, it was, I've never seen it. I mean, it's, you know, that they're always just going to pop to you and say, there's Phil Martelli, you're like watching, but this was like hilarious to the point where I was like, there's Megan, like there's everybody at all facets of this game. And I was like, it's not the first ever father-son coaches in college basketball, but I swear they give you so much, the whole fam gets so much screen time. And it's a lot of fun as you know, from like my perspective. And I'm like, oh, that's them. People are sitting next to me like, you know them? You're related to them? I'm like, yeah, that's them.
Well, I do appreciate that. I appreciate the attention. And when I was earlier in my career, somebody would say, well, you know what? You wanted to be on TV so much, you would walk outside the 7-Eleven hoping that the security camera would get you. And it really had nothing to do with promoting me or anything I'm just proud of the job that Philip and Jimmy and the way they carried themselves. They represented the family name first and foremost. They represented VCU in such a positive fashion. So thank you to everybody out there. And we're not even at the Sweet 16 yet. But will that be part of the plan? So where I'll go on Thursday evening at Lanark Country Club, they're going to have a tribute to Steve Conley, dear friend, personal and family friend. They're going to have a tribute to him at the Men's Grill. I would not want to be there to test the veracity of any of the stories. Many of them will be embellished, but many of them will bring a toast, a tear, and a laugh. I'm anxious to do that. And then I've been invited to a very special lunch at Governor Ed Rendell's house on Friday with Angelo Cataldi, with Michael Barkan, with Ray Didinger, go on and on and on and on and on, and Fran Dunphy, and I believe Don DeJulia is going to go.
The usual suspects.
Just a typical lunch. And we won't solve all these situations. But if anybody in the Phillies lineup on Thursday was to go 0 for 4, we will analyze his swing. I guarantee you. We will analyze his swing. We'll discuss the impact of Painter on the lineup, but it's Sweet 16 and baseball. I know you get the other way.
That's as good as it gets for you.
In August for you, it's approaching playoff baseball and the Birds. And I guess free agency is going on, so you get the Sixers and the Flyers. Are they going to push for the playoffs? Is there positioning? Is there room for them? But really, Sweet 16, and baseball starting. I also had this thought. Gino Auriemma, been a guest. Sweet 16. By the way, winning his round of 32 game at halftime, 65-12. That's
it's a little ridiculous. Yeah. I got a text from my dad. He said, does Gino just take a nap on the bench? Or I mean, I'm sure he's screaming at somebody, but it's like what? So
we have Gino, Calipari, Izzo, Matt Painter. Yo, you advance in the tournament? Come on the show.
I was going to say, maybe at some point we get all 16 on,
Oh, we could try that. And I'm just so appreciative of the opportunity to hear stories like Gary and Matt, because, there's a lot of attention paid to the baseball season starting and the Sweet 16 and the Masters and all that kind of stuff. But heroes, get out there and see those Newtown Edgemont Angels and look around in the stands, on the field, in the dugouts, heroes. So thank you for tracking those guys down and bringing them to make a difference.
I have to say it's our thanks to my godfather, my dad's best friend, Ray Marzarella, put me in touch with Gary Brooks, and he was like, I think this is exactly what you're looking for. And I was like, you couldn't be more right. Couldn't
be more right. So thank you.
Our thanks again to Gary and Matt. Terrific stuff. Please, if you can, find a way to support Challengers Baseball. Such a terrific program here in the greater Philadelphia area that's making a difference, truly. which is what we aim to do every single week. If you are looking to make a difference with Phil, head on over to pnjmakeadifference.com. That's where you can tell Phil your story to help make a difference on the court, off the court, in the classroom, in the workplace, on the field, off the field, wherever that may be. We are at Make a Difference Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, at Make a Diff Pod on X. Make a Difference with Phil Martelli on Facebook. If you are watching on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe. If you are listening on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, we really appreciate that 5-star rating. And if you're looking for that Martelli Minute, it is at Phil_Martelli every morning at 6:30 a.m. And Phil, I guess we got to add a little bit to the repertoire now, right? Is it still Go Rams?
No, we're going to say thanks, Rams.
Thanks, Rams.
Thanks, Rams. A10 champions. Thank you for the ride. And of course, go Phils.
Go Phils.